Okay, hi everyone. So in this video, what I'll do is choose a winner for the essay correction competition. So last week I shared an essay, I shared a question, an IELTS writing task 2 question with you. Some students responded with full essays. So in this video, we'll choose the winner, give them a full essay correction, talk about all the things that they've done right, all the things that they've done wrong. I'm getting a bit tongue-tied. And then obviously show them what areas that they need to focus on to improve. Now, just before I continue, today there's been a lot of noise from my neighbors. There's some kind of renovation going on. So if it gets too noisy in here, what I'll do is I'll just stop the video and I'll upload a recording later on today. Hopefully that won't happen, but it might. If you're new, hi Sandeep, good to see you here. If you are new to IELTS writing, I have some lessons to share with you just to make sure that you know how to actually construct an essay. So the first step is to really understand what to do, then practice doing it. And I do have, feedback lessons to help you understand what mistakes you're making and better understand what areas you need to improve. Hi Lang, good to see you here. Nimat, good to see you here too. So for those of you who are here live, or if you're watching the recording, I can answer any questions you have. If there's anything confusing about the feedback, or if you have any questions about what you're looking at, we can go through that in the lesson as well. Okay, so let's... Hi Melinda. Hi Ayush. Myra, no problem. Okay, so let's pull up the software here. For anybody who entered, you will see your name in here. And this software just pulls out the name randomly. It's the fairest way to do it. I'm not playing favorites. Everyone has the same opportunity. So Bushra Yassin is our winner. Okay, so again, give me one moment. Let me just find Bushra's answer. And we'll get started on it. Bushra, okay. All right, so I have it all ready to go. Let me just share it with all of you here. And here we are. So this was the question I posted last week. Some university students, I can make that a bit bigger for us actually. Let me just make it a bit clearer on the screen. Okay, some university students live with their families while studying, but others prefer to move away from home. Do the benefits of moving out to attend university outweigh the disadvantages? Now, straight away, when I look at Bushra's answer, what hits me is it looks quite long. So let me just do a word count on that. 371, that's way too long. Now, what I'll often get from students when I say that the essay is too long, they'll say, well, I wrote it in 20 minutes or I wrote it in 30 minutes, so it's not a problem. But it is a problem. If you write like an extra 120 words more than you need to write, that takes time. And that's time that you should be using to correct your vocab, correct your grammar mistakes. So basically to proofread at the end. So long answers like that do not improve your score. And even if you can do it within the time constraints, within the time limit of the IELTS test, that doesn't mean that you're going to, it's okay. It's not okay. Shorter answers, aim for about 280 words so that you can actually have enough time to plan, analyze the question, write the answer, proofread. All those things will result in a higher score. So that's important. And the thing as well is you're more likely to go off topic. You're more likely to include irrelevant information. The longer the answer gets, the more likely those mistakes are going to happen. Hi, Maha. Good to see you here. Hi, Inger. Hopefully I'm saying your name correctly, and you're very welcome. All right, so back into the essay. So I'll just explain what I'm looking for. The first thing I want is a paraphrase of this question. So it should have the exact same meaning, nothing different. The first sentence should have paraphrase, use as many other words as possible, but not completely different meaning. The communicating the same idea is the most important part. So straight away, some university students, a sizable fraction of university students. So straight away, that's inaccurate. It doesn't imply, the question doesn't say if it's a big or small group. It doesn't imply how big or small the group is. It just says there is a group of people. There is a group of students. So we can't assume that it's a big or a small group. That information has not been given to us. So by saying a sizable, what was the phrasing? A sizable fraction of university students, that's not accurate. All we know is it's not all university students. When we say some people, it means not all people. We don't know if it's a big or a small group. So straight away, and that's actually a very common mistake with paraphrases. Prefer to reside in their homes during tertiary education. So that's a spelling mistake. So your home is where you live. So it doesn't matter if I live in a university campus, if I live with my family, if I live in digs, it doesn't matter. That's my home. Where I live is my home. So this needs to be your family home. Live in their family homes, live with their families. So again, there are too many things that change the meaning from the original question so far. Others consider to stay away from families. Now consider means to think about it, but they're not just thinking about it, they're doing it. So it's not what they're thinking about, it's what they're doing. So that's inaccurate. And then the grammar mistake, to stay, should be consider staying. So some vocab mistakes, some grammar mistakes, spelling mistakes, but mainly and this happens to so many students where they're so focused on not using words from the question, they forget that they're supposed to be communicating an idea. So first and foremost, it's communicate the idea. If you need to use words from the question, that's better than not communicating. So first and foremost, don't go overboard with the paraphrase. Just make sure you're communicating the idea. So that's a very common issue, one that I see a lot. Okay, so next, the question says, do the benefits of moving out to attend university outweigh the disadvantages? So with this, what I want is either 2 benefits and 1 disadvantage, or 2 disadvantages and 1 benefit. So you have to say, do they outweigh? So by saying there are 2 disadvantages, that means that they outweigh the benefits when you just name one, or vice versa. So that's what I'm expecting in the outline statement. The next part of the essay, I want literally to say there are more, the advantages outweigh the disadvantages, and then name 2 and 1, or the advantages outweigh the disadvantages and then name 2 and 1. So let's see what Bushra has here. The practice of obtaining higher education out of hometown proffers maleficated benefits, including multicultural exposure and enhanced confidence. Okay, so this is very difficult to understand, and I think what this student is doing is they're trying to show me the range of vocabulary they have. But instead of using vocabulary accurately, they're using words that they think sound good, or words that, that impress them when they read them. But it's not about using impressive words, it's about using the correct word. So it's all about communication. So if you're not communicating your ideas, and it's just this, and it depends with this student. So Bushra might be able to communicate this idea clearly if they just used, more common vocabulary, or it might be that they need to work on actually just overall improving their language level. So it just depends on what the approach was. If they were trying to, let's say, show off, which isn't fair, but just for the sake of getting my point across, if they're trying to show off their vocabulary, they need to stop doing that. If they cannot communicate because their language ability is too low, they need to work on improving their language ability. So it depends on the reason for this. Having said that, we have one main idea here: multicultural exposure and enhanced confidence. Now, enhanced confidence I can see as being relevant because that's from living alone, having to take care of yourself, and all the things that come with that. But multicultural exposure, if I stay at home and I go to university, or somebody comes to my hometown and goes to university, the same university, I don't see how living out of home will help me to interact with more cultures than living at home. If we're all living in the same place and we're all going to the same university, I don't see how where we live is going to change that aspect. So at the moment, I'm hesitant with this. Perhaps when I read the body paragraph, they'll explain this more clearly. But at the moment, I think this will be irrelevant, but I might be wrong. Enhanced confidence, that sounds right. Now, I strongly defend the implied advantages. So there's another spelling mistake. Of the practice and affirm its preeminence over some minor drawbacks. So this student, Bushra, has tried to say if they outweigh. So this Bushra is saying that the advantages outweigh the disadvantages. Again, the vocabulary used isn't very clear. This preeminence over some minor drawbacks, it's not clear. So again, the attempts to use less common vocabulary are failing and communication isn't coming through. And I have to keep referring back to the question to try and understand what Bushra is saying. So vocabulary is a big problem here. Because there are so many instances of, sorry, I'm just making a note here. Because there are so many instances of the vocabulary breaking down communication, we're looking at a band 5, and there's not really much that this student can do to recover from a band 5 for vocabulary so far. It's also affecting coherence and cohesion because I just can't understand. I have to guess. I have to put the pieces together. It's like I'm doing a jigsaw puzzle where I have to put the pieces together. But if you're reading a text, you shouldn't have to, it shouldn't feel like a puzzle. It should just be, I'm reading it and I'm getting the information. So far, those are problematic. However, they have given me 2 benefits. So that's good. They have attempted to say that the benefits outweigh the disadvantages. So that's good. However, they have not given me any disadvantages. So like I said earlier on, in my outline, what I want in this outline statement is I want 2 benefits, I want 1 disadvantage, and I want it clearly stated that the benefits outweigh the disadvantages. Now, again, we could do it the other way around, that the disadvantages outweigh the benefits, and then it's just 2 disadvantages and 1 benefit. So either way is fine. So we have the 2 benefits, we have the fact that they outweigh the disadvantages, but no specific advantage, no specific disadvantage in the outline statement. Okay, so let me just check in, see if anyone has any questions so far. Maravik, hi there. Good to see you here again. Okay, so if anyone has any questions, please feel free to ask. I'll be coming in and out from the essay and I'll be interacting with you here and answering any questions you have. So back to the essay then. That's the first paragraph. Just make sure to leave a line so that it's very clear where one paragraph ends and where the next one starts. It's much easier to see. Now, I can guess from there's a space here. I can see that. But if it goes right up to the line, here's a good example. If it goes right up to the line like this sentence, then I have to, again, I'm the one who has to decide where the paragraph ends and where the paragraph starts. So in instances like this, where there's space, it's easy for me to do that. But in instances like this, I have to figure it out. So again, you don't want to have the reader, the examiner trying to decide where each paragraph starts and ends. So just leave a line between the paragraphs like that. It's much, much clearer and there's no guessing involved. It's all there. Okay, so next we're looking at the first body paragraph. What I want here is I want Bushra to discuss the first main idea mentioned in the introduction. Now, it just for the sake of coherence and cohesion, it makes more sense if you've mentioned 1, 2, 3 ideas in the introduction, then when you're discussing them in the body paragraphs, discuss them in the same order. The first one first, the second one second, the third one third. And that because logical organization is part of your coherence and cohesion score, if you can put them in the same order, that's going to help with that as well. Ayush, good question. Is it recommended to write 2 disadvantages and 1 2 advantages and 1 disadvantages? Oh my God, I'm all over the place. Apologies. 2 disadvantages and 1 advantage. Or can we write even more? You should not write more than you need to, because for your task achievement score, you need to have development of each idea. So the more ideas you have, the less development you will be able to provide. So you can, but if you do, it will hurt your task achievement score. Ayush, by saying that, it does sound like you have not completed my lessons yet. So you see earlier on, I shared these links. I would recommend you complete those, and then you'll know exactly what to do in every instance. But you're more than welcome to ask and stay asking if you have any other questions. Right. So like I said, I want a paragraph about multicultural exposure. So let's have a look here. The fundamental primacy analogous with the notion of moving away from families for attainment of degrees is a chance to explore diverse cultures. Vocab, again, like this, I don't even know what this means. Well, I do know because I know what the question is about. But if I read this sentence by itself outside the context of the essay, I'd have no idea. So vocab issues again. However, it is a topic sentence and it states that we're talking about the same main idea that was mentioned in the introduction. So I'm happy with that. But again, it's just vocabulary is the problem. So now we want development of that idea. To explicate it further, most people travel to abroad for higher studies. No, it's travel abroad, not travel to abroad. But it's not about traveling abroad. So the question didn't say anything about traveling abroad. The question said living with your family or moving away. So it didn't say that moving away from your country, it said moving away from your home. So that shows a misunderstanding of the question. So, what we're talking about in the question is people who move to another part of their country to study. Now, it could be moving abroad, but it doesn't say that. So we can't talk about moving abroad. It's about staying at home or moving out, not staying in your country or moving to another country. If the question specifically said some people stay in their country to study at university, some people go to another country to study at university. That's a different question. This is about staying at home or moving out, living in digs, living in a university campus, living in a house near the university, whatever. It doesn't matter. But literally not living with your family or living with your family. Those are the only two options. So it seems to be a misunderstanding of the question is what we're looking at in Bushra's answer here. So this is irrelevant. Or move to urban areas for education purpose, which gives them an opportunity to experience several traditions and customs. This is too vague. You don't want to talk about several traditions and customs. Talk about what exactly are you talking about? You want to be more direct. The way we write academic essays in English, we really say what we're saying. We don't allude to it, or we don't kind of talk around it. We're very, very direct, which I know isn't the case in other languages. They interact with people of different backgrounds with different faith and religion. That opens the gates of acceptance in their behavior. You know, this is starting to save the answer a bit. So we're talking about people from different religions. So if you move to another part of the country, you're experiencing, okay, so this is starting to make sense here. Up until this, I didn't see anything that would explain it, but this is starting to make sense. And even with that, what you're saying is now, if you've moved to another part of your country, you will be exposed to that. So that's starting to make sense. So now, where initially where I said earlier on I wasn't sure about this main idea, they have saved that. So now they have two main ideas that are relevant. So this is getting much better. They are more welcoming to diverse communities around them. So you've already said that. You've just said that it opens the gate to acceptance in their behavior, and now you're basically saying that again. You don't want to repeating the same idea isn't development. It needs to be developed by actually saying something new about that. So you could have gone with an example, but consider as well, you have three main ideas. So that's really enough development anyway. You don't, when you have three main ideas, the development will be a bit shorter than if you only have two main ideas. Thereby, by such practice plays a pivotal role in personality development. This is a different idea. So now you're talking about personality development. That would have been okay as a main idea, and you could have talked about that. But you've talked about multicultural exposure and enhanced confidence. This is a different idea. So you don't want to talk about a new idea. You just want to talk about that one idea that you had in your topic sentence. So stay on topic. Don't repeat yourself. But really, still for Bushra, it's the vocab is the biggest problem at the moment. Okay, so let me just pop in here and see, does anyone have any questions? Ayush? If they mean to ask about moving abroad, then they will explicitly mention about moving abroad or out of the country. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. So you can't assume moving out of home. It's basically living with your parents, not living with your parents. That's what they're asking about. So they're saying moving to another part of the country. That makes sense. That, you know, you'll still be exposed to different religions. You know, if you live in a big country, different parts of the country will have different culture, traditions and cultures. So that still makes sense. But we can't explicitly talk about leaving the country unless the question actually said that. Okay, so now we're looking for a paragraph about enhanced confidence. Another worthwhile benediction of residing. So again, it's the vocab is just no. This is just really it's trying to use like another benefit of living. That's what Bushra is trying to say. And I know I'm quite confident without looking at Bushra's other work that they would know that more basic vocabulary. Another benefit of living, and that would make this essay so much better, and it would improve the vocab, improve the coherence and cohesion. But at the moment, it's just, you know, it's like a puzzle because the vocab is so complicated. With friends and colleagues, so it's about that doesn't make sense because we're talking about fellow students, not working colleagues or people you work with, is increased level of confidence. So living out of home, again, it's not very clear to put forward, although adjusting in new environment between strangers is tough. It doesn't matter if it's difficult to live with strangers. You need to explain to me how it improves your confidence. So if it's tough, that's irrelevant. We're not interested in how difficult it is. We're only interested in how it improves confidence. So you said this is what you're going to talk about in your introduction and again in the topic sentence here. So you need to tell me, how does that happen? How does somebody living away from their parents give them more confidence than somebody living with their parents? So this part here is irrelevant. It provides strength to fight against any uncertain situation in life. This seems like you're trying to describe what the word confident means. I don't need an explanation of what confidence means. I need an explanation of how moving away from your family home to study in university improves your confidence. So that's what I need. It provides courage to move around in society with immense self-confidence. This is the outcome. I don't need to know. So you've already told me that it creates confidence. So you don't need to tell me it creates confidence. You need to tell me, how does it create confidence? So again, this isn't an explanation. Moreover, degrees from foreign countries are higher ranked. So this is another main idea. This is nothing to do with confidence. And again, this would be an idea we need in the introduction. And that again, we would restate it in the topic sentence and then develop it. So it's got nothing to do with increasing confidence, but also the fact that it's outside the context of the question, which is not about moving to a foreign country. It's about studying away from your family. So it paves the path for better career opportunities. Again, you're talking about a different idea. That's not the original idea. Opponents of the standpoint reflect that the idea of attending universities away from home attributes certain perils as well. Okay, so here, this is a new paragraph. And again, this is what I was saying earlier on. Leave a line between the paragraphs, because I thought I was still reading the second paragraph. And then suddenly I realized this must be a new paragraph. So that we need a space between the paragraphs to make it clear. So essentially no development here. So what we're looking at so far, two main ideas that are relevant and specific: explore diverse cultures, increases level of confidence, a small bit of development of this one, and no development of this one. And I still don't have a disadvantage. So far, we're looking at a band 5 for task achievement. If I can get a disadvantage, that'll bring it up to a band 6. But there's no chance of this getting a band 7 because there's no development of that idea whatsoever. There's no explanation of how living out of home increases confidence. So this might go from a band 5 to a band 6, but it depends on if there is a disadvantage mentioned, a specific relevant disadvantage. Okay, so let me just see if anyone has any other questions. Sandeep, can we get a high band score if we paraphrase by using some words from the question but communicate well? Yes, definitely. And there are plenty of times where there's no choice. There will be a specific noun where there isn't any other word. Yeah, but you'll see, like in the sample answers that I share with you on Thursdays, all of my paraphrases have some have some words from the question. So it's practically impossible not to. Okay, so again, the next paragraph, we're looking for the disadvantage, which wasn't mentioned in the introduction. So hopefully there's a specific disadvantage here. Okay. Opponents of the standpoint. So there's no standpoint. we're just asking if there are if the advantages outweigh the disadvantages. So there is no standpoint in this essay. There's nobody's view. It's just asking about advantages and disadvantages. Reflect that the idea of attending university away from home attributes certain perils as well. So we're just saying there are disadvantages. That's not what a topic sentence is supposed to do. So compare this to the first topic sentence, which explicitly stated what the advantage is. And then the second one explicitly stated what the second advantage is. But this one, it just says there are disadvantages. So like that's it doesn't give the specific idea. Homesickness is a major disadvantage. Okay, so we've just saved ourselves from a band 5 for task achievement. That is now a band 6. Because we do have a disadvantage that's specific and relevant, 2 disadvantages that are specific and relevant, and we have this, although poorly phrased, I can extrapolate that this student thinks that the advantages outweigh the disadvantages. So there is enough here for a band 6, but it's not going to get any higher than that. So homesickness is a major disadvantage. Again, grammar mistakes here. A major disadvantage of not living with families, which can badly affect the academic performance of a student. So this is 2 main ideas. So do we want to talk about homesickness, or do we want to talk about the effect to academic performance? Both of those would be fine, but we need one and we need to develop it. A pupil consistently missing his or her family leads to poor health. So there's a third disadvantage. Mentally disturbed sophomores cannot concentrate on studies properly. That's a spelling mistake on properly. But why are they mentally disturbed? Is it because they're not living at home? That's not clear. Was this a condition that they had, all their lives? Or is this a condition that they developed because they were not living with their families? Such setbacks, although carry minimum viability, and again, vocab here is just very inaccurate, very inaccurate. Scroll through the intervention of frequent visits to home and regular phone calls. Okay, so basically we've listed 1, 2, 3, 4 disadvantages where we needed just one and a development and explanation of that disadvantage. So no development. So that's a band 6 for task achievement. But like I said earlier on, they wouldn't have got higher than a band 6 because there was no development for this idea already. It's not really development, it just kind of clarifies that the idea is actually relevant. So band 6 for task achievement for sure. And then in our conclusion, we're just repeating those main ideas. Now, normally there would be just one disadvantage. So it would be what I would want in the conclusion is to say the advantages outweigh the disadvantages because there are the advantages outweigh the disadvantages because there are these 2 advantages and this 1 disadvantage. So that's what I'm looking for in the conclusion. But now we have the advantages outweigh the disadvantages because there are these 2 advantages and these 4 disadvantages. So, I mean, I don't know what this student is going to do here, but they don't want to restate all 4 disadvantages. Perhaps what they're going to do is just mention none of them in the way they did in the introduction, but that's not how to write a conclusion. What we want is those main ideas. Okay, so let's have a look here. To conclude, many sophomores consider that obtaining territory, that should be tertiary again, that's the same mistake as earlier, away from homes is beneficial. Others consider it is not a good idea. So no, I don't need that. I need to know, what do you think? Do the advantages outweigh the disadvantages? So you have to tell me what you think, not what other people think. The notion of moving out is advantageous with attainment of multicultural exposure and elevated self-confidence. Good. Still vocab mistakes, but the main ideas are there. The negligible reservations such as homesickness can be solved through taking small actions and can optimize. So this is too vague. You do have the main idea, one main idea, but you had 4. So why did you decide to use this one and not the other ones? That's not clear. But yeah, at least that's there. And there's an attempt to say that the negligible reservations that's not enough to say if the advantages outweigh the disadvantages. So it's quite unclear as well. Okay. So that is the correction. Task achievement band 6, barely a band 6. This is like, it's not a small range. So like you could get a band 6 and a much stronger essay could still get a band 6. So, it's not just a very simple, you've seen the band descriptors yourself. So they barely went over the edge of a band 5 to a band 6. So there's going to be a lot of improvement required to get to a band 7. Coherence and cohesion is band 5. The layout, the organization of paragraphs is actually okay, but the development within the paragraphs isn't great. Need to leave a space between paragraphs to make that clear. Band 5 for coherence and cohesion. More than any of those things, it's the vocabulary mistakes, just too difficult to understand. Vocab, absolutely a band 5. Grammar is going to be a band 5 as well, even though it's not as low a band 5 as the vocab. So that overall is band 5 for that essay, overall band 5. Now, advice for Bushra. A, you need to learn how to write an essay. You need to plan your essay in advance. You really need to plan your essay because you're not checking if your ideas are relevant. You're not checking if your ideas are specific. I would say probably these are the lessons I shared at the start. I'd say it's very likely you haven't completed these lessons because it does seem like you're not sure how to write an essay. With vocabulary, like I said earlier on, you might just need to stop trying to use vocab that you can't use, or you might just need to work on your general English level. So you will know that yourself. Oh, sorry, that was from a while back. Do I have any more questions here? Pupil is a good synonym for students. Pupils is more like young students, not university students. Amanjat, hi there. Good to see you. Okay, so I do have a task for all of you for this week. I also want to share my link to my live feedback lessons. So those are lessons I have on Zoom every week. Sign up for those, and then I'll have feedback for task 1, task 2, and speaking for you, as well as the live streams I'm doing on Facebook and on YouTube. I have a task 2 live stream tomorrow, so you're welcome to come to that, and that will be feedback for everyone there, rather than just choosing a winner. But it is good to have a look at a full essay like this as well. Okay, that there is the question for this week. And then next Wednesday, I'll choose another winner in the same way I did today, go through their essay and give the full feedback. Some people believe that school students should study practical skills, such as managing a bank account or car maintenance, as well as traditional subjects. To what extent do you agree or disagree? So write your full answer to that, post it in the comments, and again, we'll choose the winner this day next week. Before I finish up here, does anybody have any questions for me about IELTS or about the feedback, about Bushra's essay, or anything else? If not, okay, let's leave it at that. So I'll see you in the live stream tomorrow, or if you're already subscribed, I'll see you in the Academic Task 1 live feedback lesson later today. All right, until then, take care, everybody, and bye.